It's time to take a look at all the titles that are going to be destroying your wallet in June. Hi there everybody, and welcome to the monthly video where I take a look at all the light novels we can look forward to next month, that being the month of June 2018. Good chunk of titles coming out. I keep waiting for a slow month so I can try and get caught up. But the hits just keep on coming. If you're brand new to this series of videos, in the first half of the video, I'll be reading all the release dates as well as the titles that are coming out. Any brand new volume number ones, I'll read the synopsis or the blurb. Then in the second half of the video, I will read the blurbs for all of the later volumes. This is to help you to avoid spoilers. I will have timestamps in the description down below if there is a specific one that you want to skip to. So that way you can watch whatever you want, but like I said, avoid the other spoilers. If you want to pick up any of these titles, I do have links to Amazon and the book depository in the description down below. So there's a lot of titles to get to, so let's just get to it. And releasing on June 1st, so right out of the gate, and this one from J Novel Club, and that is volume number 6 of How a Realist Hero Rebuilt the Kingdom. I know a lot of people are going to be really excited for this release. This now brings us again caught up to the Japanese releases. This series, really good isekai, and it's funny to listen to Sam from J Novel Club talk about this, about how it has really surprised them in terms of just how well it has done. But I have to say, having read the first 2 volumes, I'm not too surprised. It is a bit of a different take on the whole isekai genre, focusing a lot more on kingdom building than necessarily on like an OP main character who just kind of trashes his way across the countryside. A really good series that I look forward to getting caught up on, and that will be out on June 1st. Releasing June 3rd, this one also from J Novel Club, volume number 5 of Demon King Daimaou. The battle high school, magical high school type series with the boy who arrives with all sorts of highfalutin ideals and is then told, yeah, your future is predicted to be, you're going to be the Demon King and destroy everything. On June 5th, from J Novel Club, volume 13 of Invaders of the Rokujouma, their monthly release of this crazy harem series that based on other people's reviews, just seems to keep getting better, which is pretty phenomenal, all things considered. It makes me very tempted to try and fit this one into the schedule and try and get caught up. Also releasing on June 5th, this one is from Yen On, and it is a standalone volume. It's actually an adaptation of an animated movie that came out in 2017, and that is Napping Princess. When Kokone sleeps, she dreams of Heartland, a place full of technology and warring machines, where she is the Princess Ancien who possesses magical powers. But when events in her dreams and real life start to intersect, Kokone has to run from bad guys in both worlds. Will her dreams provide a way out, or get her into deeper trouble? I really haven't seen much on... I didn't look very deeply into this film. The animation looks kind of cool, though, so if you've watched the movie, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Also releasing on June 5th, this one from Bookwalker, and that is volume 4 of The Combat Baker and Automaton Waitress. I did read volume 1 of this. It is a series that is set in an alt reality after a big sort of massive conflict that has occurred between countries, and it follows the story of a soldier who has decided to turn away from killing and instead to bake bread. And it was, I was actually really intrigued by this series. It's one that I haven't gotten back to, but it definitely is a little bit different than a lot of other light novel titles that we have. Now, again, this is a Bookwalker title, so it is exclusively available through Bookwalker. You can't get it anywhere else officially in English right now. So that is going to be also released on June 5th. On June 7th, from J Novel Club, volume number 2 of Me, a Genius? I was reborn into another world, and I think they've got the wrong idea. I reviewed volume 1 of this series, and it is pretty hysterical, actually. Sort of, again, like a slight spin on the whole isekai thing, where instead of being reborn into a world of magic and sorcery and all that kind of stuff, he's actually reborn into a future world, so technology is beyond what it was in our world. There's all this kind of different stuff. You know what? It was a really good rompy kind of book that just went hell blazes through all sorts of crazy sort of things, and how this main character pretty much just kind of accidentally manages to get him out of a situation, but the way he does it, everybody thinks it was intentional, and so they're all like, oh my gosh, you're like a genius. It's only a 3-novel series, and I'm gonna definitely pick up all 3, because like I said, I thought the first volume was really hysterical, and knowing that it's just a short series and a funny series, I definitely want to finish this one. On June 9th, from J Novel Club, Volume 8 of I Saved Too Many Girls and Caused the Apocalypse. Harem taken to the extreme. A boy who is destined by his bloodline to aid maidens in distress. And as they fall all in love with him, they begin to bicker and fight and eventually destroy reality. It happens. On June 11th, from J Novel Club, volume number 9 of Grimgar of Fantasy and Ash. The rather darker and grittier isekai story about a group of people who wake up with no memory of their previous life and are essentially forced into becoming soldiers to fight their way across demon and monster-infested lands in order to protect humanity. I really liked the first volume of this one. It felt more like a measured sort of approach to this kind of genre, in that the characters would fail. The characters weren't immediately OP. The characters were challenged and pushed, and I liked that aspect of the series. On June 12th, from 7 Seas, we're getting the print release of volume number 1 of Didn't I Say to Make My Abilities Average in the Next Life? When she turns 10 years old, Adele von Ascham is hit with a horrible headache, and memories of her previous life as an 18-year-old Japanese girl named Kurihara Misato. That life changed abruptly, however, when Misato died trying to aid a little girl and met God. During that meeting, she made an odd request and asked for average abilities in her next life. But few things, especially wishes, ever go quite as planned. Now, the digital release of this came out a couple months ago, and I've seen a couple reviews on it, and it sounds like it's a fairly decent title. Now, this is a 7 Seas title exclusive. This is not a title that they are doing a print release of a J Novel Club. 7 Seas has done this entire project by themselves. I do have the ebook version. Again, it's one of those, I'm trying to get caught up on volume 1s. If you've been watching my book reviews, you know that I've pretty much been doing a big string of volume number 1s lately to try and get caught up, and this one is definitely on my list. Also on June 12th, this from Yen On, and I believe this was actually initially supposed to be out in May but got pushed back, and that is volume number 11 of Is It Wrong to Try to Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon? The ongoing story of Bel Cronell and his movement forward in the ranks of adventurers going into the dungeon. It is one of my favorite series, absolutely one of my favorites, and just very well written, and if you want to look at a great series in terms of growing its main character, challenging its main character, and not shying away from sort of the darker and harder elements of a hero's journey, it is a fantastic title to check out. Also on June 12th, this one from One Piece Books, we have Volume 11 of The Rising of the Shield Hero. This one, the ongoing story of Naofumi, who is summoned to another world as one of 4 legendary heroes to stop a world-wrecking event. This was one of the first light novels that came out that had sort of a edgier, more verging on anti-hero type main character. Naofumi goes through some real crap in the first volume and pretty much becomes a character that doesn't give a damn about how he needs to go about things so long as he survives. And I found it really refreshing at the time. I've actually read a good chunk of them. I think what's the last one I've read? Volume 7 was the last one I've read. So a little bit behind on that one, but you know, it was one of those series that I really liked when it first came out because of the difference in the main character. This one's going to be getting an anime. I'm not too sure when the release date is. It wouldn't surprise me if it was very soon, though, because it was announced a while back. And again, I'm looking forward to seeing just how the anime does and if it brings a little bit more attention in the English market to this series. Because again, like I've really liked this series. It's one of those ones that I want to go back to and catch up on. They're pretty easy reads, but it was a lot of fun. And like I said, I like the sort of rougher main character in that one. On June 13th, from J-Novel Club, volume number 4 of My Little Sister Can Read Kanji. Now, if I recall, this one's been on hiatus for a while, but I believe that was pretty much due to Sam being overwhelmed by, you know, releasing 4,000 other light novels. Because this one is sort of a passion project, and Sam from J-Novel Club is translating it himself. So I've read the first volume of this. This is very much a tongue-in-cheek parody of the whole sort of moe kind of siscon type light novel. It was a lot of fun, but again, it's one of those series that because it is a parody and because it is sort of mocking a lot of these things, it does it by taking some of those elements to absolute ludicrous extremes. But I did like the first volume of this one. And again, I don't think this is a long series. I think there's only 6 volumes in it. So if you're looking for something that's kind of like funny, humorous, and again, is slightly outrageous and biting a little bit in terms of its commentary on the whole light novel and cute girls and all that kind of stuff, it's one to check out. On June 14th, from 7 Seas, Volume 2, but this is just the digital release of Didn't I Say to Make My Abilities Average in the Next Life? So we're getting Volume 1 of the print release, and we're also getting Volume number 2 of the digital release. I guess this worked out pretty well for 7 Seas, because volume number 1 I thought was kind of an experiment with them, but they're doing it again with volume number 2, where they're releasing the digital release a couple months in advance of the print release. I'm very interested to sort of see. I would be interested to find out what their thought process was behind this and what they're doing with it. I wonder if part of it is to put the book out and catch any mistakes before they lock down a print version, or if it's just to sort of test the market to see what happens digital wise. I still have to wonder if the print will sell better than the digital. It'll be interesting to see, and maybe that's part of the reason why they're kind of testing it out, to see just, you know, if we separate the releases, it gives you a better idea of just how many people are grabbing digital and how many people are waiting for print. So, gee, I wonder, now that I say that, I wonder if it's almost like a test for digital-only titles. You know, they did Boogie Pop as a digital-only re-release, but now they're doing it in print, and they also did Strawberry Panic in a digital-only re-release. So, I'm wondering if 7 Seas, even themselves, are starting to play around with sort of the, You know, are there light novel titles that we could do in an ebook only format? Again, this is all conjecture on my part, but it would be kind of interesting to see their thought process on this one. On June 15th, from J-Novel Club, Volume 3 of The Magic in This Other World is Too Far Behind. I just reviewed volume number 1 of this series. This is a series that J-Novel is putting out 1 volume every single month. Again, a series just to, you know, make it really difficult for any reviewers to keep up with, but if you're a fan of the series, it's awesome because you don't have to wait long between volumes. I really, you know what, I liked the first volume. It showed a lot of promise. There were things about it that I kind of was like, you know, if they explore this element or this element, it could be really interesting. And some of you sounded off in the comments and said, yes, that is kind of where it goes. So I'm kind of excited to read on in this series, just to sort of check it out and sort of see what it does, just because, like I said, a number of you were like, yeah, Justus, you're not too far off on what this series, where it's going. On June 18th, from J-Novel Club, volume number 2 of Infinite Stratos. Funny, I just, like, literally just posted the review of volume number 1 of this series. I actually thought volume 2 was already out, so I'm not that far, I'm not behind. Hey, that's awesome. This one, of course, is probably one of those really prototypical harem series, with the clueless main character who, even though these girls are basically throwing themselves at him, just doesn't get it. Just doesn't get it. It's kind of frustrating. But it mixes up some like cool kind of mecha type action into the series as well. Like I said, you know what? I reviewed volume 1, like I said. There's stuff in it that makes me want to kind of read more of it. One thing I'll say is in the review, I thought they had only done 5 volumes in the anime, but apparently they did 8, so I was a ways off. This series, they've also announced that volume 13, when it releases in Japan, is going to be the end of the series. Volume 12 just released in Japan, so it's probably still a good couple of months until volume 13 comes out, but this one's going to be coming to a close in Japan, so at least you know how many volumes you're in if you want to get dedicated to the series and check it out to the very end. On June 22nd, from J-Novel Club, we have volume number 4 of Outbreak Company. This one, the isekai series about a boy who is a great otaku and is basically abducted by the Japanese government to go into another world and spread otaku culture. I've read the first volume on this one. It was actually very surprising. It went to some very serious and somewhat dark areas, which it makes the series a lot more intriguing than I initially suspected. It's definitely worth checking out if you like the whole isekai genre. On June 26th, these are the Yen On releases. We got a whole bunch of them. First, we have volume number 14 of Accel World. This one, of course, by Reki Kawahara, also the author of Sword Art Online. This is my preferred Reki Kawahara series. I have read all of them. I do have volume 13 to read before this one comes out. I really like the characters in this series. They feel so much more fleshed out. I like the fact that they fail and they struggle, and it's just, you know what, it's a really fun series to me. You know, it's a little over the top sometimes, but that's just half the appeal, I think. It is really definitely one of my faves. Also on June 26th, from Yen On, we have volume number 6 of Is It Wrong to Try to Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon on the Side, Sword Oratoria. This one, of course, focusing on Eyes Wallenstein as the main character and Loki Familia. I've read the first 2 volumes of this one. Kind of like the fact that because you have a stronger Familia that it focuses on, there's a lot more dungeon diving, it seems, in this series, and a lot more investigation of the deeper levels of the dungeon that we get in the main series. It's good. I like it. I definitely would like to read more of this one going forward. Also on June 26th, from Yen On, we get volume number 1 of Is It Wrong to Try to Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon? Familia Chronicle. This one actually is focusing on Liu. For the skilled former adventurer Liu, it's another eventful day at the benevolent mistress. A certain couple's only daughter has been kidnapped, bringing Liu out into the streets to search for her in the name of justice and Austria. Her investigation of the missing child eventually leads her to a lawless area of the Labyrinth City, the Grand Casino, where money and power decide everything. This is the start of the Gale Wind's tale in the city of Oratoria, home of the Dungeon and Adventure. So 3 Danmachi titles in June, and it's not really a bad thing. Also on June 26th from Yen on, we are getting volume number 7 of ReZero, Starting Life in Another World. Well, you know, I'm not going to say a whole lot about this other than to say I really, really love this series. Some great writing, excellent hooks, and like cliffhangers on the ends of all of these books that just, man, leave you so thirsty for more. This one, we're still not caught up to the anime. If you watch the anime and you're kind of wondering where we are, I think we're at least 2.5 volumes away from the end of this. Well, I guess 3 if you include the one that's going to be releasing this month. So yeah, but it's definitely an awesome, awesome series. I really, really like that it focuses so much on the emotional torment of the situation that's the main character Subaru finds himself in. It's just makes the series so much deeper and so much more interesting. It's a fantastic series. I'm really looking forward to checking that one out. Also on June 26th from Yenon, we get another new title from them, but it's also a spin-off, and that is Sword Art Online Alternative, Gun Gale Online. The fact that Kohirui Maki Karen is 183 centimeters tall has always been something she's felt extremely self-conscious about as an introverted high school girl. But in the world of games, she can be whoever she wants to be. In the popular Gun Gale Online game, she's Ren, a short, all-pink P90 wielding bombshell who's aiming to win the next Battle Royale. Couple things about this. First, it says Ren in this, but if you watch the anime, they romanize it as Len. It'll be interesting to see which romanization that they ultimately go with in the novel. This one, interesting enough, the author is the author of Kino's Journey, so even though it's a spin-off of Sword Art, it is not Kawahara who's writing it. So I'm really actually looking forward to this one. First of all, because Gun Gale Online was one of my preferred worlds in the Sword Art Online universe, and secondly, just because it is a different author sort of playing in a world Kawahara created, so I'm interested to see what he brings to it. There is the anime, of course, is airing right now. I have done my best to avoid most of it, though my wife and son have been watching it, so I've seen a little bit of it, which it does have me kind of very interested to check this one out. Also on June 26th, we have volume number 8 of The Irregular at Magic High School. Now this is cool because this is actually now the first volume that goes beyond the anime. So if you watch the anime of this series and you've been kind of wondering at what point we move beyond it, maybe you were thinking of hopping back into the series, this is it. It's volume number 8. I have to admit, I'm a little tempted too, especially, I don't want to, well, it's not really a spoiler, but apparently this one sort of takes a look at the backstory of the main characters, which was something that I was kind of curious about. So, I don't know. We'll see how I feel about this one. Also from Yen on June 26th, we get volume 4 of The Isolator. This one, another Reki Kawahara series, one that Kawahara has been putting out at a much slower pace in comparison to his other series. I've read the first volume of this one. It's kind of an interesting series. It's basically about these alien orbs, or I'm not even sure of the origins necessarily, but essentially when they come into contact with human beings, they seem to either make them absolutely insane and monstrous, or they grant them some kind of other ability, and it's kind of the battle between these sort of two opposing forces to maintain order and sort of, prevent all, well, either try to create chaos or to prevent it from happening. The first volume really wasn't bad. You know what? I think it's one of those series where you're like, oh, it's only coming out like once a year or whatever. I'll just, I don't have to worry about falling too far behind, so I'll just wait for the next one. So, but definitely it's one of those series that I would like to read a little bit more, and I have seen reviews of later volumes, and it does sound like it definitely gets better as the series progresses, so it might be interesting to check that one out. Also on June 26th, this one from Vertical. It is the next chapter in the Monogatari series, and that is Hana Monogatari. This one is going to be focusing on everybody's beloved Saphist Kanbaru. I won't read the description because I don't want to spoil anything, but yeah, you know what? I've kept up with the Monogatari series so far. Actually, they just released a brand new volume of it this past week that I have to pick up first, before I read this one, obviously. But yeah, you know what? Vertical's been really knocking it out with these Monogatari series, and I love it because they've been actually hired Vofan, who's the artist on the original series, the Japanese releases, and they've hired him to do original covers for the English versions, and they are just spectacular. So really, really good releases from Vertical on that one. Also on June 26th, this from Seven Seas, and again, it's kind of interesting because this is a light novel series that is spun off from a rather older anime title, but man, it was like one of the seminal titles at the time, and that is True Tenchi Muyo, volume number 1. Light novels based on the popular Tenchi Muyo anime series, available in English for the first time. Based on the hit Tenchi Muyo Ryo Oki OVA series, this trilogy of canonical light novels explores the lore that shapes the past, present, and future of the sprawling Tenchi Muyo universe. The first novel that we're getting on June 26th delves deeper into the backstory of Emperor Azusa, Ayaka and Sasame's father, while learning what happened immediately following the conclusion of the second OVA series. So this is actually kind of, like I said, it's kind of cool. This sort of fits in very much with what Seven Seas has been doing recently in their manga side, which is bringing out classic titles like Captain Harlock, Devilman. Like, it's really cool that this is sort of translating over into the light novel side of things. Of course, they just released Toradora Volume number 1, the light novel series, which, again, I've got a copy of, and I am looking forward to reading. And particularly because it's like a slice of life, which is kind of cool. We don't have a lot of those. So yeah, I'm very excited by to see what Seven Seas is doing in the light novel side of things. Like, they've got a newer title, which, didn't I say to make my abilities average, but they also are sort of bringing out these older titles as well. So I'm kind of excited to see what they do next. Also on June 26th from J-Novel Club, we have volume number 6 of If It's For My Daughter, I'd Even Defeat a Demon Lord. This one, the ongoing story of Latina, a very cute little devil girl who is adopted by an adventurer, and it's very much about their life together, and as Latina grows, what things she gets into and encounters and the challenges that they face together. I read the first 2 volumes of this one. Volume 6 takes us very close. Volume 7 just released in Japan, so again, it's another series that J-Novel Club's getting very close to being caught up with in the Japanese releases. So yeah, you know what? The first 2 volumes were very cute, very, very slice of life. But I've got to get caught up. I'm looking forward to sort of reading some more. And like I said, it's only got 7 volumes in Japan, so we're really not that far off. The final release of June will be coming from Seven Seas, and this is a print release of a J-Novel Club title, and that is volume number 2 of Clockwork Planet. Now this one, of course, notable because one of the co-authors is Yu Kamiya, who writes the No Game, No Life light novels. that we continue to wait forever and ever for Volume 7 to release. I don't know if it's ever going to come out at this point. It's been backed up like, I don't know how many times. In any case, it's kind of a cool idea. It's set on Earth after Earth basically died, and so they used Clockwork to recreate the functions of the planet. It's got this real sort of steampunk, automaton type vibe to it. I've read the first volume. I thought it was kind of cool, actually. I really liked the sort of world building aspects of it. So those are all of your titles that are going to be released in June of 2018. A whole bunch of light novels to choose from, a bunch of ongoing series, couple of brand new series starting. Now, again, I am going to now read the blurbs for all of the volumes that are above a volume 1. So if you want to avoid any spoilers, of course, you can stop the video at this point. If there's any particular blurbs you want to see, again, there will be timestamps in the description down below. And again, I invite you to use the links for Amazon or the book depository if you want to pick up any of these books. They are affiliate links, full disclosure, but they help, the channel and help me buy more books and stuff. So I do appreciate you using them. So let's get right into it because, these videos get, super long. On June 1st, How a Realist Hero Rebuilt the Kingdom, Volume 6. Soma has received an invitation from the god beast, Mother Dragon, ruler of the land of dragons, the Star Dragon Mountain Range, to attend the contract ceremony, where contracts between knights and dragons are formed. When he arrives, Soma is guided by Mother Dragon to meet the flightless dragon, Nadin. Having found a special talent in Nadin, who has always been taunted for her inability to fly, Soma tries to make her realize her own value, but, at the same time, Mother Dragon issues an oracle. A storm is approaching the Star Dragon Mountain Range. And so, Soma ends up confronting a calamity that transcends human knowledge. The Revolutionary Administrative Fantasy Series, Volume 6. June 3rd, from J-Novel Club, Volume 5, Demon King Daimaou. Akuto has awakened as the Demon King, and has declared that he will kill the gods. Flying on the back of his dragon, Peterhausen, he soars into the sky above Constant Magical Academy to face thousands of troops, including Eiko Teruya and his good friend Junko Hattori. He's also opposed by his friend Hiroshi Miwa, who, unbeknownst to the world, is secretly the anti-magical supersuit-wearing hero known as Brave. Akuto has Fujiko and his horde of demon beasts on his side, but will it be enough? Meanwhile, Kina seems to hold the key to Boichiro's appearance, and to the greatest mystery of all, the future of humanity. June 5th, Volume 13, Invaders of the Rokujouma. After Thea receives a distressing message about her mother in Forthorth, she's forced to make what could be a life-changing choice. Does she rush home to be with her family in a time of need, or does she stay on Earth to complete her trial with the friends and the boy she's come to love so dearly? Nothing is simple, however, when it comes to the politics of a galactic empire. The trouble runs deeper than it seems. Kotaro is reunited with a few old friends, one of which he's not too happy to see. Also on June 5th, Volume 4, The Combat Baker and Automaton Waitress. Lud is exhausted from Talkerbrot's booming business when he receives a request to bake savory breads for the Thanksgiving festival. Meanwhile, Hildegard of the Schutzstaffel and a covert operative called the Wolfman come to Organballs to assassinate Lud. But Sven easily sees through Hilde's disguise, and the two ne'er-do-wells are captured. Then Lud asks the Wolfman if he knows how to bake bread. June 7th, Volume 2, Me, a Genius? I was reborn into another world, and I think they've got the wrong idea. Koki Arakawa has been reborn in a Japan that's unlike the one we know, and everyone seems to have gotten the idea that he's a genius. When Koki and his friends decide to spend their summer vacation visiting a lunar base, Koki inadvertently unlocks the secrets of an ancient alien civilization without realizing he's about to once again change the world forever. As the nations of the world become increasingly fearful of Koki, it's only a matter of time before the world's leaders try to take control of him and his friends. In an all-out effort to protect her son's freedom, Miki decides it's time to execute Project Arc. Just think of it as a slightly unconventional holiday villa. Now, Koki's the Messiah in another world? Koki continues to go from one misunderstanding to another in Volume 2 of this insane sci-fi comedy. June 9th. Volume 8, I Saved Too Many Girls and Caused the Apocalypse. Rekka is still striving to help Mio, Alicia, Corona, and Leon, but things are only getting more complicated. When Mio starts to get her memories back, she reveals an ominous prophecy that really ups the ante on resolving these girls' stories. The fate of Earth is at stake if Yang gets his way, but Earth isn't the only place in danger. Can Rekka save both his world and the spirit world at the same time? Or will this be the first time he can't achieve a happy ending for everyone? June 11th. Volume 9, Grimgar of Fantasy and Ash. As the battle against the orc Jumbo and his group Forgan descends into utter chaos, Haruhiro and the party face a crisis unlike any before. Ronta has betrayed them to join Forgan. From there, they are split up again and fight an intense retreating battle. Without knowing who among the other party members is safe, Haruhiro and his comrades realize anew what the other members of the group mean to them. Having only realized what they had now that it may be gone, will Haruhiro and the others really lose it? Or... When they encounter an enemy known as Solitude in the misty Thousand Valley, this tale of adventure that crawled out of the ashes will begin to weave a new act. June 12th, Volume 11 of Is It Wrong to Try to Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon? After saving the young dragon girl Wiene, Belle's name has become synonymous with greedy, despicable, and traitor. He and his Familia have completely lost the trust and respect of everyone residing in Aurorio. There's no time for him to feel sorry himself when his new-found monstrous friends, the Xenos, need his help to get home. But now that the greatest obstacle in their way is Loki Familia, does Belle have what it takes to raise a fist against his beloved idol, the Sword Princess Eyes Wallenstein? Also on June 12th, Volume 11, The Rising of the Shield Hero. Having claimed his victory at the Colosseum tournament, Naofumi successfully frees the demi-human slaves to return to their village. When they arrive back at the village, Naofumi receives news on the whereabouts of Motoyasu, the spear hero. In order to capture him, Naofumi organizes a manhunt, but it leads him to a scene of carnage involving the sword hero Motoyasu and Bitch. If that's all you can say to your friends that believed in you, you're not worthy of being called a hero. You're not even worthy of being called a human. Faced with an unchanged sword and spear hero, Naofumi completely loses it. In the midst of all of this, assassins after Naofumi's life suddenly appear, and everything spirals out of control. The time to cut past ties has finally come, in Volume 11 of this other-world revenge fantasy. June 13th, Volume 4, My Little Sister Can Read Kanji. Gin's summer is just beginning, and his family and all his little sisters, even old men that just take the form of little sisters, head to the beach for a little fun, which can only mean one thing: literary experiences galore. But Gin is still processing what happened that night in Kuroha's room. Something is changing in him and his relationship with Kuroha. and greater forces are beginning to make themselves felt from the shadows. June 14th, Volume 2 of Didn't I Say to Make My Abilities Average in the Next Life? This is the digital release. The newly graduated Crimson Vow are out in the world and determined to prove themselves. Mile, Reyna, Pauline, and Mavis look for work as C-rank hunters, but when an exciting yet dangerous job comes along, the girls cannot resist. Can Mile see herself and her friends through this new challenge, while still keeping her remarkable abilities hidden? June 15th, Volume 3, The Magic in This Other World is Too Far Behind. Suime continues on his journey towards the Nalfarian Empire, now with Lafile in tow. He has to add her new problem to his growing to-do list, but it won't be the only thing he's worried about by the time they get to the capital city. A strange military figure doesn't seem to take kindly to their presence there. Meanwhile, Reiji, Mitsuki, and Titania's demon subjugation is put on temporary hold for an emergency rescue mission. They'll make an interesting discovery or two along the way. And just where is Familia in all of this? June 18th, Volume 2, Infinite Stratos. I'm Charles Denois. I come from France. Odewig, Laura Bodewig. The girl-packed IS Academy has two new exchange students, the handsome boy, Charles, and the German girl, Laura. Dashing young Charles, a representative of France, is the second male IS pilot after Ichika, and the girls are already head over heels. Meanwhile, platinum blonde Laura's lithe frame belies a contempt for Ichika that strays into physical violence. What caused her grudge against Ichika? What secrets are hidden by Charles's nonchalant elan? The IS are rearmed and ready for action. June 22nd, Volume 4, Outbreak Company. Shinichi's a made man. A passage to another world has been discovered in the Sea of Trees near Mount Fuji. That other world is the Holy Eldent Empire, and it's a full-on fantasy universe, with dragons flying through the sky and everything. The Japanese government, eager to profit from this discovery, secretly sets up a company called Amutech to promote trade by bringing otaku culture to the benighted inhabitants of this land. But wouldn't you know it, their secret got out. Or anyway, it's about to. And that's bad, right? Amutech General Manager, former home security guard, and thoroughbred otaku Kano Shinichi has a solution, and it's so otaku it hurts. He wants to hold a magical cosplay contest and photo shoot. And in the process, he may be surprised at what he learns about the hidden talents and the hidden past of his personal bodyguard Minori. Shinichi is in for more than he bargained for, again, in Volume 4 of Outbreak Company. June 26th, Volume 14, Accel World. Umasato Junior High School's Culture Festival has been a huge success, with all the girls that Haruyuki invited in attendance, much to the chagrin of Kuruyuki Hime. The fireworks were an especially nice touch, though not everyone is simply content with enjoying themselves. Magenta Scissor's scheme to implant an ISS kit parasite into Ash Roller's gear has succeeded. Haruyuki's only hope is a daring plan to break Aqua Current out of captivity, but can he do that when he's threatened by Seryu's level drain? Also June 26th, Volume 6, Is It Wrong to Try to Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon? Side Story, Sword Oratoria. Having just returned from their latest expedition, Loki Familia's search for the rumored second entrance to the dungeon has brought them to the port town of Marin. A certain playful goddess is having the time of her life doing as she pleases, right up until a foreign ship comes into dock, bringing a storm in its wake. Also June 26th, Volume 7, ReZero, Starting Life in Another World. After maneuvering through negotiations and avoiding more horrific deaths, Subaru is ready to bring the fight to the White Whale. But will it really all go according to plan when nothing else has? June 26th, Volume 8 of the Irregular at Magic High School. In 2092, Okinawa was suddenly invaded without warning by an unknown enemy force. Miyuki and her mother were caught up in the battle that ensued, leaving them in dire straits where they were all but helpless, relying on the help of a lone young man named Tatsuya. This is the story of how the Shiba siblings got where they are now. June 26th, Volume 4, The Isolator. After infiltrating the Ruby Eye hideout, Minoru Utsugi falls into a deadly trap, but narrowly escapes thanks to the Refractor's desperate sacrifice. Though her gambit saved them both from the Liquidizer's scheme, Sue paid for it dearly, leaving her in critical condition. After this tragedy, Minoru must find his place in this new, dangerous world again, but his enemies won't wait now that the Stinger has arrived, ready to crush the Syndicate. June 26th, Hana Monogatari. Our sorry hero, his reformed girlfriend, and the amnesiac class president have all graduated from their high school out in the boondocks, and self-described Saphist and ex-basketball ace Kanbaru, retired by reason of an injury, is starting her senior year and the narrator of this volume. Her voice far more introspective than the smutty jocks we thought we knew. Bereft of the company of her beloved mentors, the only other person around her with any working knowledge of aberrations, the junior Ogi Oshino, apparently a relative of the Hawaiian-shirted folklorist, she feels a bit alone and blue and sick with dread that the devil residing in her left arm, courtesy of the monkey's paw, might act up again while she sleeps. Investigating a rumor that she fears might lead back to her, the former star ends up peering into an abyss of negativity called Roka, a wax flower, to take the character's meaning. Trapped in a pit the like of which could only be escaped by the one girl who was able to pull off slam dunks in her basketball nationals, can the penitent Kanbaru, however, still be aggressive? June 26th, Volume 6, If It's For My Daughter, I'd Even Defeat a Demon Lord. Having survived a fierce life-and-death struggle with the Demon Lords, Dale has at last reunited with Latina. After safely settling things with the first Demon Lord, Chrysos, the pair return to Kenneth and the others back in Cruz. But a prequel centered on Latina's parents is also included in full with this sixth entry of the popular series. Finally, on June 26th, Volume 2, the print release of Clockwork Planet. Please destroy me. 3 weeks after the attempted purge of Kyoto Grid, Marie receives a mysterious transmission. She heads to Mie Grid to investigate with Halter, Naoto, and Ryuzu, but what they find is something, or someone, none of them could have ever anticipated. The thrilling second volume of the Gearhead fantasy set in motion by Yu Kamiya and Tsubaki Himano and Sino. So those are all the light novels releasing in June of 2018. If you've watched the entire thing, thanks for hanging in there. These videos are always long. The more light novels that get released, I'll probably have to start changing the format if they keep upping the number of volumes per month that come out. Again, if you want to pick up any of these titles, use the links to Amazon and the Book Depository in the comments or in the description down below. If you're brand new to the channel and you love light novels, you should consider subscribing. I do this video every month, as well as weekly countdown of the top 10 best-selling light novels in Japan, and 2 to 3 reviews of light novels every week as well. Thank you for joining me in this video. I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Till then, bye-bye for now.